We up? All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Planning Board meeting of December 2nd, 2019. We're in room 12? Oh, 24. Double it. We've doubled our... We're moving up. Tonight we have a pretty short meeting. We'll try to get our planners out of here who have to drive a little bit to get them on their road early. Before we get into tonight's meeting, I would just like to have a moment of silence for the passing of Paul Donahue. Paul was a member of this planning board for 40 years. I think all of us served with him, some of us a couple of times. Al was a personal friend. I mean, we've all become friends with him, but Al was a personal friend for decades, 45 years, and our condolences go out to Helen and the family, and if we could just take a moment to remember Paul, who served 40 years on this board, and when I came on, was a mentor to me, and same thing with Paul. When Paul came on, Paul took him under his wing. So if we could just have a quick moment of silence to remember the passing of Paul Donahue. Thank you. Al, anything on just, you were Paul's, before we get started, you were his longtime running mate.
Yeah, he cat with 9 lives. He had been sick for a number of years, and in the end it was kind of a surprise that it went so quickly. But he fought it tough, just like he did with life and played sports and the like. He just hit the line, and he just, just kept going. Loved life, ton of fun to be with, and it's really sad on his passing. I know I will dearly miss him. So.
He had a few words, but when he spoke, you listened to him. He knew what he was talking about, and he made sense.
He knew the rules and regulations backwards and forward.
He's probably on a short list of planning board members in the Commonwealth that served, volunteered, for no compensation for over 40 years on a local planning board, and there's probably very few others in the state that have that long term.
We had two. Bill Bamber.
E. William Bamber.
Robert's grandfather. We had two, and they served together for about 30 years together. So they saw a lot of changes in the town. All right.
Thank you.
So, no problem. Getting right into it, first thing is we have an A&R plan.
Want to approve the minutes?
Oh, yes, we have approval of minutes. I have let me have your agenda here. Approval of minutes from 11/4.
Motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Anything on that? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Paul, we have a new recording administrator here tonight. To introduce us to...
To introduce you to Alyssa Catalano. She's our new recording secretary, and we think she's going to do a great job for the board.
Big shoes to fill. Okay, so 7:05, we have an approval not required plan for 190 Sumner Street. Matt, are you taking the lead on this?
Yes,
okay.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Matt Smith. I'm an engineer with Norwood Engineering Company, and I also would like to just take a very quick moment to say something about Paul Donahue. It really saddens me that he passed away. I wrote down a couple of quick notes. To me, he was a mentor. He taught me a lot. He was tough but fair, always very cordial to me. And he was a planning board member when I became before this board for the very first time when I came out of college. So I share everybody's sentiments that I feel very sad that Paul passed away, and my condolences go out to the family, who are also very good friends of mine. But thank you. I just wanted to have the opportunity to say that.
No, thank you, Matt.
I am here on behalf of Mr. Bach. We're asking you to approve a Form A plan. With me is Tim Toomey and Mike Clemmy from Block Enterprises. And I'd like to do a quick introduction and then open it up to any questions. This is a Block property on Bristol Drive, Sumner Street, and Suffolk Drive. Right now, the site consists of a number of lots, but the main part of the land that we want to address tonight is this area where there's an existing guest house, an existing carriage house, and then some extra land that goes with the main house. And what we want to do is create another lot in this area, and the reason that we want to build this lot is we want to create the lot. We want to build a small home on this site. It will be a prefabricated home, but it will be a small home. It will be on a foundation. It will have utilities. And in order to build this, we needed to create a lot for the home. So this existing carriage house will become an accessory building to the new home that we want to build here. And currently, it's an accessory building to this home. So these two buildings will stay where they are. It's just that this accessory garage will be accessory to the new home, the new small home that we're building on this new lot, the proposed lot B2D. And then we're carving another lot, a different shaped lot around the existing house, and we're configuring the shape of this lot and that lot. So the purpose is to create lot B2D. All of the lots on this plan conform to zoning, and we would ask that you approve this plan and endorse the Form A. And I'd like to open it up to any questions that the board would have.
Just your frontage will be on Plymouth,
Yes,
and you got the required, you got the 100, I see 110 feet?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the other lot, the frontage will be on Sumner.
Yes,
And, again, you got 125 feet there.
yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith, currently, how many lots before the subdivision, how many lots are in that?
There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currently. There's 5 currently, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Paul, anything on this?
I've reviewed the approval not required plan and verified that all of the lots as shown on that plan have frontage and area that meet the zoning bylaws requirements for that zoning district.
Is it S1 up there?
Think so?
S1, I think so. I think it's S1.
So based on that, I'd recommend the board vote to endorse the plan that it seems to meet all the zoning requirements.
Any questions from any members of the board on this? This is Homewood.
So you've got 5, now you're going to 6.
Yes,
Okay. And because these are so small, the square footage on the new one is how many? 24,429? Is that correct?
yes, the new lot is 24,429 square feet.
Do you know what the total of this whole piece of dirt is?
I did. Oh, you have it?
What is it?
7.2.
Okay. Just curious.
Sure.
Love the trees. Sorry, had to throw that in.
Yeah,
No.
Pretty big arborvitae's, aren't they?
Those trees
Yeah,
there.
right.
See, I like arborvitae's. Done,
Tasteful.
Don't smile yet, Mike, she's not done with you.
Liking the trees up there over here.
Look out, Mike.
Any other questions from members of the board on this? Pretty straightforward?
Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, A&R.
Looking for a motion, Mr.
I
Chairman?
am.
Motion that we sign the A&R plan as presented?
Second?
Anything else on the motion to accept? Anything else on the motion? Seeing none, we'll put it to a vote. All those in favor of endorsing the plan? Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. You want us to sign now, or you want to sign after the meeting?
However you want to handle it.
You're not taking a copy with you
No,
tonight? Okay, so we'll sign it after the meeting.
Okay, great.
We'll sign after the meeting.
Okay, great, thank you.
We'll have a letter for you too.
All right,
Okay,
moving right
Look
along.
at how painless that was.
that was, thank you. Great, thank you again.
All right, next up, we have a special permit extension, David Spiegel. on Carnegie Row, hi, how are you?
Good, where would you like me to?
Have a seat.
Okay.
So we've had Mr. Spiegel down there for a couple of years now.
Yep.
And I think we granted him an extension a year ago, a one-year extension, so that year is up.
We did.
Can you kind of, maybe you can fill in, Mr. Hill, you didn't want to come off the Cape in the snow, huh?
It was pretty messy down there, so.
Can you kind of give us an idea of what's the, if there's any future plan there, or are we just going to continue to extend down there? It is, I mean, after a while, I mean, we don't, we're pretty liberal in extending these things, but at some point, temporary becomes permanent. And so it just, do you have an idea what Mr. Spiegel's plan is there, or?
So he's still attempting, he's been working with the broker, and he's been attempting to get tenants in there. He would prefer to develop it and make it a commercial property. Unfortunately, because of where it's located, it's been very problematic for him. And he just hasn't been able to find prospective tenants that would want to lease in that particular area.
A nice gift to the town.
As I'm sure you're aware, he owns many properties in the town of Norwood and adjacent towns, and there are many vacancies in, much more traveled areas in a lot of his buildings. Mr. Spiegel prepared a spreadsheet for it to look at, and it does show the vacancies, and there is a downtick in the vacancies since 2014, but nonetheless, based on the location of this particular property, I would assert that it's the most beneficial use at this time. And like I said before, he has been trying very diligently with the broker to try to get it leased.
Get somebody to
or-
buy that piece of dirt.
He would, well, not necessarily buy, he would prefer to develop it himself and lease it out, because ideally, that's the most lucrative for everybody involved. And he just hasn't been able to do that at this point, so. But he
Paul,
will-
anything on this, or?
This is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So you're with Connor and Hilliard out of the Walpole office?
I am,
Okay.
I'm standing in for Attorney Hilliard. I'm sorry, I don't.
That's okay.
That's all right, I don't understand it anyway, so I'll pass over.
Well, the important,
The square footage supply available,
Yep.
occupied from different businesses around town, different sites,
Okay.
commercial sites. like
First one, too?
Cully is to keep this together. I can have this.
Yeah, forget the first one, go to the second one.
Yeah, that's,
so if you look down, you can see number, you can see a downtick, like I said.
Total
but
vacancy,
nonetheless,
right down
We
here.
still see a 10% vacancy, and again,
So he's looking for another one-year extension?
he's actually looking for a 2-year extension.
Well, can I be honest with you? I think,
Sure, of course.
I got a pretty good idea how the board would feel if they granted it's gonna be a one-year. We like to, it's at the point now where
It's old.
It's old. It's first time out, 2 years, but, if the board was to
2
approve it, I
years,
think.
next time 2 years, last
Yeah.
time a year, and now another year, and
Yeah,
we started out with 5,
that's correct.
and we've done 2 and 2 and 1?
Yeah, so it was initially approved in 2012, and for 5 years, I think, and there was 2 and 1. Yeah, and at the time that it was approved, there was, it was discussed that this was just temporary, and David Spiegel said he didn't want to use it for this, but, it would be temporary. So this isn't,
This isn't new.
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
He sent you into the buzzsaw.
A 1-year continuance or extension would be
No,
very appreciated.
Can I,
I'm looking for no extension. I mean, it's over. That was the, last year at the meeting, that was it. It was understood it was the last year on this. And they were gonna have to do something this year.
And I understand your concern, but if we take away the special permit, there's no way, there's gonna be no revenue at all generated. At this point, at least there's revenue being generated, and if the special permit gets taken, it's just gonna be an empty lot.
Revenue
And-
for,
Well, I would say for Mr. Spiegel,
Right.
as well as, revenue for.
The revenue is
city.
going from the right hand to the left hand, because it's his cars and his parking lot. It's the same as any of the other vehicle parking, you know?
And there is a small tax levy, not a lot, on cars, as we know.
He's also paying real estate taxes on that land as well. So, and at this point, there really is no more beneficial use in the horizon at this point. Again, he is working diligently. He would rather develop this property. He really would. It would, unfortunately, he can't develop a property without potential tenants to fill the property. So,
Mrs. Homewood?
the problem, and if you play the tape back, I do say the same thing over and over and over, is I think it's better to have the cars over on Vanderbilt than over on Morris or Pleasant or closer to our neighborhoods. So I don't think it's a bad use for that. But it feels a little disingenuous when he comes to us for 5 years. I'm not shy about I'm the tree lady. Just hide the damn things behind some trees and fences. It took over 4 years to get up 5 trees. Okay, I take my car to the shop right next door. We're all down there. And wasn't he in charge of that at the time?
I can speak to that, sure.
So it feels like,
But I don't think he's representing it.
no, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, you can go back and
Taken, yeah.
and we're gonna put them up, we're gonna put them up. I don't disagree with Al, however, I would rather have the cars in the Vanderbilt area for now, because we're still working on the moratorium for parking, which we have not, I'm not on that board, I don't know where it's going. But I feel a little like I'm being played. We'll put up the trees, we'll give you a nicer fence, and we don't get any of it. So why are we wasting each other's time is what I would like to know. So, I don't want to punish Mr. Spiegel. He's a businessman. We like businessmen. We're pro-business here. We beat that drum to death. But another year, and then we know he's going to come to us for another year, so why don't we try something a little different?
I'm certainly open to suggestions.
Well, feel free to make one, because
I don't.
Is there,
Is there a point?
With the visual, is that?
I'm always concerned with the visual. And I'm not shy about being concerned with the visual. Is that where we want cars parked? No, we don't generate any revenue, but there's a lot of dirt down there that nobody's using, and nobody's building more commercial space.
Right.
Okay, I'll stick my tongue on that third rail.
And that's the.
Right, and we have kind of said, let's talk about where we're putting all these cars, let's not blacktop everything, let's not tear down. So, okay, Vanderbilt's already stripped clean this piece of dirt. And so is it over by the airport, which it's got to be stripped clean because there's an airport there. So as much as I don't like to disagree with Al, I feel like, so feel free to make a suggestion. I'm not allowed to.
I'm not sure if the board would like to see, have it be a better aesthetic, or more trees to hide the cars.
Joe?
No, I just had a question. You mentioned down there, you're talking about, I don't know if you were talking about in general or just down there, whether is the fencing not up to what you wanted, or
Well,
in that particular spot? I'm not talking about down by the airport or all, any other place.
No, it's
I'm talking about this particular, is there anything that they could do to make that particular place better that is not being done?
yeah. We could, I mean, I think, I would like to see the applicant come back and say, and be genuine and say, we're gonna keep coming to you for a year and we're gonna say no, and where's he gonna put the cars? We got a moratorium going, we're chasing them off, I mean, let's tell the truth here, okay? So I would rather him be more genuine in, here's what I'm willing to do to make it a more, if you'll give me X amount of time, I'll do something to make it more palatable.
I think Joe's question is, what would you prefer?
I want to
done?
put up a fence that sets back off the lot with some trees in front of it, like we've got over on Pleasant and Morris and Dean and so all of us, I mean, Vanderbilt's different. I got to tell you, I'm not as offended by Vanderbilt because most of us go down there for one or two items. It's not in our face like Pleasant is or Dean is, but I'd still like it, and I know a couple of businesses on that street, they'd like it to look a little better too.
Is there
There's a chain link fence with slats in it.
okay, and so you would like a different type of fence with more
Yeah,
foliage?
I'd like it set back, so I'd like the fence set back so there was trees in front of it, so it didn't look like, a lot in Brooklyn that has been abandoned with cars behind it. Again, it's not in a neighborhood, it's in Vanderbilt, which is a commercial area, but we've spent a lot of time and money on trying to improve Vanderbilt, right? And make it a gateway to something, and I think if something looks more pleasant, it tends for people not to, I mean, it is an industrial neighborhood. I'm not as offended by Vanderbilt as I am when they park cars elsewhere.
I understand.
Rob, do you have anything on this?
I think I'm a little on the more forgiving side. Maybe I haven't been around long enough to see the games that have been going on, but maybe with a little improvements, or maybe with some time with this kind of rebranding going on, or maybe some work on the moratorium. But I'll go with whatever the board would like to do on this. I'm just a little more forgiving, I think, right now.
Brian, any questions of what's going on?
No, I'm actually very familiar with this. My daughters go to dance academy directly across the street from that lot. And I can understand Mrs. Homewood's concern about it's the chain link fence with slats. But given the temporary nature of the use of the property, which it seems to be temporary, I'm not sure what middle ground would need to be struck.
Well, temporary is starting to,
It's bleeding into some more permanent.
I think that's the issue, that temporary is
I
starting
understand the
to.
concerns.
Yeah. And then what happens is, we gave them a special permit years ago, and they have, permit runs out, and they have to come back for an extension. And we're on our third extension here.
How many vehicles are behind that fence?
I do not know the answer.
300 and,
The special permit said something, 215, a little more than 200.
200, a little over 200 cars, 218, yeah.
Would the board entertain a more permanent situation if a different fence and more trees were put up? Would that be?
I don't know, what do you
Doesn't
mean,
do anything for me.
what do you mean by more permanent? What do you, I mean,
That's,
Not,
it's the whole thing.
you mean not come back?
They're looking to make this a permanent parking lot.
No, I don't think that's,
I'm
yeah,
just trying to
that's
figure out.
not.
I know,
As to how to kind of.
I understand what's going on down there in Vanderbilt. I understand the type of situation it is. It's not the worst use in the world for that. I kind of feel, I mean, it's either that or a vacant lot. And I mean, when you come right down to it, it's either we give him the extension and he continues to, use it, at least keep it clean, there's a fence there that's maintained. It's not the worst looking thing in the world, it's not the best looking thing in the world, I grant you. That's got the trees in front are starting to grow. It's either that or a vacant lot.
Okay,
I mean,
well-
so,
to the question, Paul, if he withdrew I don't know, this isn't really an application, is it? It's just an extension,
it's an
right?
extension.
So, I don't know all the legal stuff.
And
My parents couldn't send me to law school.
The special permit expires tomorrow.
Okay. So, see, I would rather be honest and upfront about it, because we're not moving those cars in a year. They're not gonna be moved by next December 2nd, 3rd. I wouldn't think, but we said that a year ago. Because the moratorium was coming and everybody was complaining about cars all over town. Could we do something different, like say, okay, give them a shorter time extension, ask them to come in and ask for a special permit for 5 years? With a caveat of, because like you say, we're doing we're trying to do things down on Vanderbilt, and something more attractive would soften that there, and it wouldn't look like a parking lot, and it wouldn't like a vacant lot. I agree with you, Ernie. It's just gonna be a vacant lot, or it's gonna have cars on it.
I don't know, Debbie, if you could do that.
Well, that's why I'm asking the boss.
You mean let the extension run out and have him come back in with another special
No,
permit?
no, give them,
He couldn't because of the moratorium. He couldn't do that.
oh,
Yeah, that would be a problem.
That would be a problem, because if the permit runs out tomorrow, tomorrow's what, Thursday, Wednesday? Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Thursday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Wednesday, he comes in with another special permit for parking cars down there, and he comes in front of us with an architectural plan and fancy trees and a nice fence and setback and everything you want. Can't do it because of the moratorium. Right now, he's on the extension. Right now, he is grandfathered, or whatever you want to call it. He can have a continuation. If that permit runs out, then he can't come back with a special
Okay.
permit for 5 years or a permanent, because he'd have to wait for the moratorium to end and then rolls the dice on what town meeting would decide as far as the new zoning, or where we're going to allow open lot storage for vehicles. So I don't think he could do I don't think, and I'll let these guys tell you if I'm right or wrong.
I misspoke. It doesn't expire tomorrow. It expires on the 17th of December.
All right, so the 18th he comes in. Okay. Joe?
I'm just thinking, Debbie has legitimate concerns that, maybe it's kind of short to be able to address them right now. They've only got 2 weeks. But in the future, if we were to let them go through, I would like to see if we could have some sort of understanding, whether they come in a month or so, or we discuss what we really want down there before they try to come back again, because we don't want to come in next year saying we wanted 2 years, and we'll give you 1 year, but Debbie's
We don't wanna go through this every year.
Debbie's concerns aren't met, and I'd like to see those taken care of.
What?
And I think it's too short to do it now.
Yeah, so to me, it doesn't make sense to ask to have a better fence, a solid fence, because you can see through the fence. It's got the chain link with the plastic slats. It doesn't make sense to put up a more expensive fence and landscaping for a 1-year extension. I think it would be
It won't be
reasonable.
completed by then.
Right.
It would be reasonable to grant a 2-year extension and ask as part of that, or a condition of the extension, that they come in front of the planning board with a landscape plan that shows a solid vinyl fence and a 5-foot planting strip in front of it, and it'll look better for a couple of years, and hopefully in 2 years, the final, there'll be plans to build on that lot.
They would probably have to, excuse me, Joe, I'm sorry. Would they have to, because to do that, Matt, you would know better on the inside of that fence, I'm sure cars are right up to it. You would lose a whole row of spaces probably.
Well, that's my concern, yeah, because the whole, my name's Matt Smith, engineer from Norwood Engineering Company. Yes, because we did lay that whole thing out for a row of spaces, so we would lose considerable amount of parking for
I don't know how many, but it would be.
Yeah, it would be the first row, you know, whatever that, like the frontage divided by 9 feet. So there would be-
Isn't that called compromise?
Well, I mean, we're certainly always willing to compromise. And if I could say a couple words, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
I am the engineer for David Spiegel, and I do all of his site plans in Norwood. And I have been working with him on this project for a lot of years. And I know it is very frustrating, and I know it's very hard for the board to believe that we are making efforts to get something built there. But we are. We have, from time to time, been asked to do conceptual site plans for the project, either expanding the adjacent building over and parking in that, to build another office building. We looked at a possible hotel down there, but that developer went over to Walpole. We actually did the same. We worked for the developer over there. So we are trying to get something in there. I've drawn plans for that. The team does not want that to be vacant. And I know you've been hearing this for years and years and years, but it is amazing to me in the real estate industry that when somebody comes in and wants something, it's like night and day. You go in and you're off, and we'd be back in here with a site plan. So I just wanted to put that out there and just say, from my perspective, that is what we have been doing. I understand your frustration, and I understand that there were some things that were done in the past regarding the landscaping that I would say was not good form. Certainly was not something under my operational control, but I understand the frustration, and I think it could have been done differently and done better. So I'm happy to say that in front of this board. But where we are at is that we're searching to get somebody in there. It's important for my client to have storage for the cars. We understand your frustration, and I understand your hesitancy to extend more than 1 year. So that's, we would request that we get the extension. If he doesn't get the extension and the thing lapses and we're in a moratorium, it really makes a big impact on the site. So we're certainly willing to work with you, and I'll take any suggestions back to Mr. Spiegel, but I just wanted to say a few words about the project.
Could we do this? Could we approve a 1-year extension with a condition, with conditions, that if in fact they need another extension in 2020, that they come before us with a revised landscape plan? Obviously, to get it done by the 18th of this month is not going to happen. If we gave them 1 year with the condition that if they wished for an additional extension in 2020, that they have to provide an updated landscape plan to the front of that. That would kind of just go to your needs or your wishes, and to make it look better, to make it look more attractive.
And then I wouldn't be comfortable with that, because I don't want to kick them out. I don't want to be,
Well, I'm not so
no, but 1 year isn't,
Well, next year, if they
right,
can't
but it's
afford something,
January,
yeah.
and now it's gonna, nobody cares what it looks like, because everything looks awful, and then we're gonna do another season. I would much rather, like Paul suggested, do a 2-year with a site plan, because even if you sell it in 6 months, you're gonna have to have a setback on anything that's built back there.
I'm
Well,
sorry, you want to give a 2-year now, a 2-year tonight? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, with a site plan, I'm probably using the wrong words because I never, with a 4-foot setback with a fence on it, with landscaping in front of it to be done by blah, blah, blah. And then he's got 2 years, and even if you sell the land, you're gonna move the cars out, you're not gonna, and all those guys around there will have something else
I
to
don't know
look
if
at.
you're going to get that done by the 18th of December. You know, I don't think
I
we
don't
can.
think there's time to do that, that's why I would say,
Well-
if you gave them 1 year now and said by the, maybe we'll give it a date, maybe.
June 30th.
Sometime in September, by September, they'd have to come back with a plan. If they're gonna go any further than beyond the 1 year that we'll give them.
Yeah, because it's gonna take time to look at the
Because we
plan.
want to look at it and make, if it's gonna take it may take a little while to get exactly what we want, they might give us a plan that's not, that we might have.
Right, you don't wanna be.
We never get exactly
you don't
what we
wanna be
want.
under a
If
gun.
we said, let's give them 1 more year, but have them know that if they're gonna ask for more time a year from now, that by September, they come in with a plan that's gonna address our concerns.
But then we're back to, I asked for this a year ago. I asked for this 4 years ago, actually, because we got, I've asked over and over, and it's not gotten done. So I'm not saying we've got to get this all written up. This is part of the deal. You'll get 2 years if you do this. I mean, can't the paperwork be done later? It's.
The board could vote to grant an extension at whatever term going forward you'd like, and I think that as part of that, there could be a condition that relates to your concerns about landscaping and the appearance of the property. So, and that condition could be detailed and say, by February 1st, the landscape plan is submitted and reviewed, and when the snow melts in April, they implement the landscaping improvements.
I would be. We couldn't get you to do that.
No, I like Joe's plan, actually, because I think by, say by September 1st of 2020, the extension's gonna run out in December. They're gonna know by September if
We
they're
said
gonna be
this
another
last year.
extend. We're not going back in time. We're trying to come to a conclusion here. Al?
Mr. Chairman, the problem I see with any of those suggestions is we're making it with the intent of a permanent situation, that it's a permanent, setback, 2 years setback. But no, we're not looking to make it a permanent parking for storage of motor vehicles for a dealership. Okay, regardless of who the dealer is. This is commercial. It doesn't do justice to the parcel 56, parcel 44 that are around this parcel, okay? That it's a storage of, it's unattractive for those business plans that are in place for the rest of them, and it directly across the street from them, okay? For that whole complex. This has gone on long enough for them to be a parking lot for storage of vehicles.
What if we
just
did
because
this,
it's in
Al?
the woods.
What if we did this? What if we gave him a year, and with the condition that he's got a year to find another place for his cars?
I don't have a problem with that. We should have done this last year, but it's out the barn door, but I don't have a problem with that going forward in.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I endorse it, but it's an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I don't find it bad down there, those parked cars, and I know that, I mean, personally, I don't have an issue with on the parking of cars there. It's,
Ernie, I don't either. I'd rather have them in there, even though we're doing an entryway to Vanderbilt, and we've spent $60,000 on studies to make it nicer down there and get signs and curbs and so on and so forth. But I do know 2 of those businesses down there that I use on a regular basis that are not happy looking across the street. They've got nice little fences. They keep their land. David doesn't own it all down there. And 2 of them right across the street are like, okay, I took a looking at that chain link fence. Okay, that's not just me. I'm taking the hit here, but that's not just me. So last year, I kind of said the same thing. And I agree we don't want to make it permanent, but maybe after the moratorium, some of it will get permanent. Maybe Vanderbilt will be I don't know what you're all talking about in there. But at some point, now it's 7 years that we've looked at no trees and a chain link fence, and other businesses down there have looked at the same thing. And I think as a landlord of the major stuff down there, and as we've spent town money to do studies down there, we want it to be nicer, we're gonna put up the,
Gateway signage.
the new signage. I don't understand why a guy that owns that much property would want a chain link fence around how big is that piece of property? Acre?
I'm sorry, I don't have.
Okay.
It's like 3 acres. Is it?
Okay, it's a
Yeah.
huge piece of property. I don't know why anybody, and again, the business that
He
I.
doesn't, that's why he didn't put the fence up for so long.
Well, I think it would behoove him to make it look nicer, because maybe he'll sell it in a year, maybe he'll sell it in 5. I don't want it permanent either, but we don't know what the thing's gonna do. So,
And add
I
confusion
beat
to
it
the
to
mix.
death again.
Add
Confusion
confusion
to
to the
the
mix. We have a new attorney each time this thing comes around with the new story. That's the other part of the,
Well, that's the,
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't, that, you
Yeah,
can't,
if I could- yeah,
that's
if I
getting
could-
upside
Perfectly
down.
lovely.
That was not.
That's
you
not
said she
a-
It was
no.
not really her choice.
Yeah,
That's right. It was their call to throw her here.
Sure, I'd be happy to respond to that if.
All right, so, when do we meet again, Paul?
On the 16th, which is the day before it expires.
All right, so I think we should come up with, if someone wants to make a motion, now I would always preface that you make the motion to approve and then you vote against. You don't make the motion to deny. You make the motion to approve and then you vote either yea or nay. Either make a motion, would it do us any good, or would we really be under the gun to continue to the 16th? Would we have any better idea of anybody's time to think about it, or is it, we're just spinning our wheels at that point?
I think we could, and obviously this
No.
is up to the board, but I think we could come up with I should ask, a landscaping plan for the board to review before then and discuss it on the 16th.
Could we review it outside of meeting and have it, so we've all looked at it
The
by
only
the
problem with
16th?
that is if it's not agreeable, there's no time to go back and tweak it, because, we're gonna take a vote on a definitive plan. And we've gone through this with Matt 1,000 times on 1,000 different projects. We're gonna go back, we'll take a look at this, maybe we can do this, maybe we move the bush 3 feet to the left or whatever, and, so I agree, I like your thought on that, but I'm not real sure about the timing, to come up with a landscape plan that would be agreeable to the board,
Not,
and then you're under the gun because you have there's no time to go back.
Well, we could-
I do, if I could, Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
do, I understand where you're coming from, and I do like the idea and concept that to grant the 1-year extension, but with the understanding that at a certain amount of time, whether it be June or September, we come back to you with a plan that says, look, if we want another extension, we have to show you this plan and get an agreement from you that the plan is acceptable. And then if we come back here a year from now, the only way we're gonna get the extension is if there's been a landscape plan that has been approved.
Up with improvements.
Yeah, yes, and whereas I totally hear what you're saying, you haven't had that at all up until now.
Right, and I think that was Joe's
Yeah,
initial,
Yeah,
I kind of agree with that, I kind of agree with that.
and it is, in point very well taken, we're gonna have to have landscape in the front anyway. It's a pretty flat site, it's probably the type of situation where if we did build a project there, we would be able to keep that landscaping, so it wasn't, if we build landscaping now, it won't be something that's just totally eliminated in the future, which is positive from project budgeting and things like that, so.
Could I, may I? I'm just, again, gonna beat it until I get told no. If this isn't flowers and bushes, this is a fence setback with some arborvitae's in front of it. And could we look at it before, would the board be willing to come in and take a quick look at it with Paul before we get here on the 16th?
We're not talking about the 16th.
You
But
just
that's-
said if we extended it till the 16th, and then,
That was an option, but that's what, I apologize if this young lady suggested that maybe she could come back by the 16th, but I think
but if you were to
That-
submit a plan and
that
we're,
would be with, in talking with Matt, and I think he agreed with me, that if you're under the gun, you don't have time to review the plan, have the engineer go back, make the tweaks, bring it back in front of the board to review again, you're 2 weeks out, Mrs.
Yeah.
Holman, that's all.
but it's not a complicated plan, and we could, it's.
Well, say it's something that you don't like on the plan. And then,
There's gonna be nothing I don't like on the plan. What if I give you my word, there's nothing I don't like on the plan?
I'm gonna,
Well,
I'll entertain a motion, a first motion, if someone wants to make one, on any of their suggestions. I understand what you're saying, but I think having them back by the 16th with a designed plan.
again, Ernie, I feel like if I don't get something right now,
Well-
I've waited 7 years. If
Okay.
I don't get some, I don't wanna say no, but I will.
That's up to you. I mean,
I know,
you can vote any way you want.
I understand that, but I don't want to.
Okay.
I would like to get a commitment that we are gonna do something to improve the visual of that piece of property, that 3-acre piece of property that's had cars on it for 7 years.
And you're committing to a permanent use.
I'm not committing to a permanent use.
By doing so, you are.
Why?
Why make someone invest into that property when it's only a temporary situation?
Because it's been a temporary situation for 7 years. You give them one, it'll be 8. We don't know where the moratorium's gonna go. It's still a piece of dirt. Even if you tell them no about the cars, it's a piece of dirt with some landscaping and a fence in front of it. It'll look better than that lot looked before, in my humble opinion. So you tell them to move the cars in a year. You've got a fence and some 10 trees in front of it, and it's covering a 3-acre lot that's just sitting there with paper on it. So it's his land, it improves the visual of it, and I feel like if I don't get it now, I'm not gonna get anything, and I don't wanna have to say no. But I will.
What about 6 months from now? Say you give them a 6-month pass and you say in June or whatever, you have to come back before the meeting and have something that we like.
I mean, that's basically what, well, I don't know.
Right, as long as we're gonna do it, because we can't do it until May anyway. But why can't we say, we're gonna do this with a 1-year, even if we do or don't come and ask for extension, we're gonna do this. This time, we're gonna do this. And in 6 months, you lose your permit? Is that doable?
Well,
But they're not willing to commit right now
You can't-
because the market isn't there for them to commit to a
Yeah,
project.
the only other thing, Debbie, to be honest with you, and I agree with you on a lot of your points, but you're asking the attorney and Matt, the engineer, I mean, they're gonna have to go back and somebody's gonna have to sign off on this. So they're gonna have to go back to Mr. Spiegel, and, you know, I unless they have, knowing Mr. Spiegel the way I am, he doesn't give you power of attorney to make these decisions.
Then why are we under the gun and Mr. Spiegel isn't? We've got to make a decision not to throw his cars out of there, which we don't want to do to him, or Mr. Spiegel has to decide to spend some money on fence. Well, if you can't make a decision for him, you know, we don't want to say no, but if we say, I'd like to extend it because I don't know that you got votes. And I don't know. I'd like to get something for my 7 years of work here.
Joe?
Rob has a point there being, you know, 6 months from now would be the time when you would want to be planting. But I would still say maybe we could give him a 1 year, but by sometime in June, by June 1st, we would have to have a plan in hand if they intend to go forward beyond the 1 year.
Which would be December.
And that way, you can go, you're not gonna forget about it, you're gonna think of it right now and say, we gotta get a plan out there, and the spring's the best time to implement anything like that, if you're gonna be planting. And
So you're saying that,
At first I was gonna say-
you're saying the work's gonna be, should be done this summer?
not that the work has to be done, but if they did come back to us with a plan, they could work on it, to be ahead of the curve, so to speak.
Why couldn't we say the work's gotta be done by the summer?
Because we don't know what that work is.
We don't know what the work
We don't
is.
know
We
what the
don't-
work is right now. That's the problem.
I mean, that's why
If we had another month or so right now before this thing is gonna go out,
Do you think that's
that
why?
would be a good, that
why
might be
we
a
do
good
it
idea
this
to say,
way?
come back next, fairly soon with a plan, and then we would have time to look at it, they'd have time to put it together and put something decent together that we can criticize, and if it needs changes, we would be able to have time to go back and forth. But right now, we've got two weeks, that's it. So that's why I think if we're really serious about having a plan in front of us and to take care of your concerns, that we would have to give them more time. And I think that this would allow for us to do that.
So you're saying that if, basically, like we had talked about, if they're gonna seek another extension, they have to have that plan in front of us by June or July or something,
At first I
or,
said September, but if we
Yeah.
want to discuss the particular date, we can do that. I was
July
just, I was
1st
just
would be
thinking,
after
I was just thinking if it was September 1st, that would give us,
3
over
months.
2 months,
yeah,
2.5
yeah.
months. But if they want to come in sooner, they could certainly do that also.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be more of a deadline, saying you have to have it in by then. Heck, if they were really serious and they knew what our concerns are, and they're trying to take care of those concerns, they could get it in to us earlier. They could get it into us in March if they wanted to. Sure. But
Well, if they were really concerned about losing this permit, they wouldn't come 2 weeks before it was due, maybe.
Well, that's normally when people come in. But, do you wanna make that as a motion, Joe, or you wanna?
Well, I'll make the motion.
Let's
I would make-
kind of wrap this up here. We've only been on this for about 45
I'd like
minutes.
to make the extension for 1 year under the condition that they come in
Is
with
this a motion?
a motion.
All right, so, I'm sorry, bring
Under
it.
the condition that they come in with a landscaping plan that would address the issues discussed here tonight. As far as a date, I'll say September 1st of 2020. If they want to get it in here sooner to show good faith, that's even better. But
That would be if they want to continue the extension beyond
if they
that.
want to continue extension,
So,
Would,
recapping, they'd have to, your motion is to extend a year
extend 1 year.
with the condition that if they wanted to go any past 2020, they have to come in with a landscaping plan by September 1st.
September 1st.
That
latest.
would show, an improvements to the lot. Am I summarizing that correctly?
You are.
All right, is there a second to that?
Second.
Second. Okay, anything else on the motion? Mrs. Homewood?
would you be willing to change the September to May?
I would,
You got December, you got May December is the end of the year. July 1st would be 6 months. How much, you want them 8 months ahead of time?
I want them to
I'm
get-
picking this date just because it's 2.5 months before they would come up again. What I also said, as we discussed this, that they could get it into us as sooner than that. I would say the last date is September 1st. If they were really serious, maybe they'd come in March. That's just, that's something to convey to them.
Right, but I can't vote for that, because September, then we're putzing around, we're getting plans done, and then it's December, and we can't do it again because it's snowing and we can't plant. So that's why I would be more in favor of a May, March. So if we're gonna do this, we're gonna get it done before the snowfall again next year. So,
Just to clarify,
I know
you're
this
suggesting that the plan be I think that we could get a plan submitted before September, if that would
But the work wouldn't get done before that, Mrs. Homewood. I
The
think
work-
that's-
Well,
Right,
I
if we
mean,
don't
especially
submit
if
the
it's
plan
so-
until September, the work's not gonna get done in 2/20, it's gonna be 2/21.
June of
Right.
221 is
Right.
when you would see the
Right.
landscaping improvements that you're asking.
I'm,
So that's
I'm not interested in
the way
that.
it shakes out.
Yeah. So you'd come in May, you get the landscaping plan, we'd landscape it in June before it gets too hot, too cold, too whatever. So September doesn't work for me, but okay.
If I were to say May 1st, how would you folks react to that?
Well, I think it's something that we're going down the right path because I think it's livable for both. I mean, one comment I would say that if we come into September 1st and we come to an agreement in a couple of weeks, we are in the planting season for landscaping, so you can get it done with a certain amount of time. And you could tell us, look, okay, we like this landscape plan, we want you to get it done in the next month, or else you won't have good success when you come back in December. So I think that the 9/1 works. May seems a little bit early to me, maybe the end of June. I mean, we're certainly, you know, we strongly want to have this be approved tonight, so we could be flexible on an earlier date.
The point is, the plan has to be in by a certain date, that's what we're talking about right
Yes.
now. So
Just
this
submit
this
it.
date, it's just submitting a plan. In that case, would May 1st work?
Sure, yeah. We
Then
can do
I'll
that.
change mine, and we'll change it to May 1st. That's when the plan has to be in, not the work, but the plan. That's my motion.
You
Okay.
agreeable with that?
So they have to submit a plan by May 1st for the landscaping? Is this correct that I'm,
Yes.
as per for his 1-year extension that ends on 2020, December or whatever, the 17th. But he's got to come in May to submit a landscaping plan that's going to be done?
Well, I would think that the motion would be improved if it included when the landscaping would have to be
Completed.
completed. So I'd suggest submit the plan by May 1st and
June 30.
get it planted by June 30th.
Well, everything would have to be done before any extension would be granted.
In December.
Yeah.
A year
For
from
another
now.
year after.
Yeah.
We're
No.
doing it now for then.
Right, but if,
That's the
could we
problem,
just say
Rick.
it's got to be planted by, would you be willing to put that in your motion that we've got to have the work done by June 30th?
So
That's not-
that might be problematic
That's
to have that.
problematic.
Especially if we
Yeah, I
submit it by
think-
May
Yeah.
1st and the board is not happy with what was
Yeah.
submitted, there might
Yeah.
be some back and forth, so I would
I would-
offer that maybe the work
April?
would be done before the next.
All right, you make your motion,
We
Mrs.
would not
Homewood.
have-
Okay.
we would
I
not have
mean,
to-
you're December, we're in December, so you got January, February, March, April. So you're asking, all right, so the landscape plan's got to be submitted by May. So, and then you want the work done by June 30th. That gives 2 months to approve the plan, make any changes, and hire a landscape company and get the work, tear down what's there, move the cars back, build a new fence, put the landscaping in by the end of June.
I have all
And now you're
faith in
gonna have to
David
give them
Spiegel.
5 years.
No, we
because of
don't
what
have
he's
to,
done.
no, we're not, okay. So your motion says April to submit the plan.
No, it
And,
doesn't. The motion says May.
May 1st.
I'm sorry, May.
1st.
May to submit the plan, July to have it done? Are you happy with July? Because as
Personally-
Mr. Halkier
personally-
says, if we put in an end date to it, it has more teeth.
Personally, I would give him till, I would give him till the end of September. I'd give him through the planning season. He's gonna come back in December for the approval. If it's not done, then he doesn't get the extension.
We've got plenty of leverage on that. That time gives us plenty of leverage.
Okay, tell me what your dates are.
And the work would have to be done by September 30th.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
May I make one
Yes,
suggestion?
by all means.
I would suggest, because we don't know how long that back and forth is gonna take between Mr. Spiegel and
Right.
the town, that the work be done prior to the next extension date. So December 17th, if, let's say it's 2020, December 17th, the work be done at that point. And if the work is not done, then the extension isn't granted.
But you've already gotten your one-year extension.
I
Okay,
understand. I
I'm not gonna be here forever,
Right.
and I've asked and asked and asked. Okay, you can't so that's why I'm trying,
No, I think it's a good, I think it's something we can live with.
What, by the end of September?
Not in September, because you don't want to do the planting in November anyway,
Right.
so.
and we're pushed to the wall to try to be accommodating here, because your thing comes up in 2 weeks, and we're trying to be flexible, but all of a sudden, Mr. Spiegel can't get the work done. He doesn't have to be flexible. Great guy, I'm not complaining about that, but we're wasting all kinds of time
I
to
understand.
not say no to you tonight,
I
because you
understand.
came in 2 weeks before this is due.
Rob has a second. So let's recap the motion. It's the dates.
Extension for 1 year.
May, you come in May with a plan,
Plan
get
will
the
be
work,
submitted.
we talk about the plan, we all agree on a plan, we sign off on a plan. Work is done by the end of September. You come back in December for the extension.
Yes, thank you.
No matter what Mr. Hilliard says to you when you get back to the office, right?
I'm
Well,
not
it's
going
with-
back to the office now.
I don't mean right now.
I mean, it's
Yeah, I understand.
Mr. Spiegel's call. and-
I- then-
Compromise, and I
Right.
think we can work with it.
And then, and if he doesn't want to do a landscape plan, he doesn't want to make improvements down there, then,
We know what the
then
consequences
in
will be.
December
Given it
20th,
Yes.
No, I'm
No.
giving him a year.
then his cars are out of there by next year.
I think he'll be very appreciative of it.
That's
Second.
pretty much it. Right? If
Okay.
it's not
All right.
done, his
All right.
cars are out a year from now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Rob, you're good with your second on that?
Second,
Still?
yep.
All right. Anything else on this?
No.
Okay.
How about the Patriots?
Yeah, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, Al's aye. 4-1. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
that's
very
for a what?
Thank you.
1
It
year.
was 1 year. 1 year. 1 year. Anything past 2020, the landscaping that we approve gets done or the cars go.
Understood.
Please don't make me go into the nail salon and get bitched at by everybody that's sitting on either side of me, but none of this ever gets done.
You go to nail salons, you go to supermarkets, every week. I go to all kinds of stores, nobody says boo to me.
People, call him.
Because they like her, okay?
No, they don't. You gonna do this time?
Excuse me? Oh, well,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, all right,
All right, I'm
take a
done.
motion.
I'm done, I'm
We're
done.
moving on, Mrs. Holmes,
All right,
we're moving on.
we're moving on.
We're moving on. We're
Okay.
moving
Very
on.
much.
Okay.
And thank you for your time. We do appreciate it.
Okay, winter meeting schedule.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And what's her name?
I forgot your name. I'm
My
sorry.
name is Jessica Duratson.
Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you very much. You guys,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Okay. Winter meeting schedule, everybody got the copy of the winter meeting schedule?
I didn't. It
your
wasn't,
packet.
no, it
It's in your
wasn't.
packet.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it might be clipped behind one more page.
Okay, yours, Debbie's a little different. Yours is, when we're meeting the 6th,
Oh, you are so gonna miss me, Mr. Mouthpiece.
You're the 14th.
Yeah.
Love you.
So,
Our next meeting is December 16th, you said?
Yes.
Okay,
we already have that one.
all right. And I know it's bad weather out there, and Paul and Patrick have got some distance to drive.
Guess so.
So if there's any other, Paul, is there anything you want to bring up before we let you guys go?
Have the board check these dates and then vote on them at the next meeting?
I think
Could we
I'm
have,
good.
Let's do that.
because I know I've got one,
I will not be here in January.
The two
At all?
January meetings,
Yeah.
FLA? Good for you.
Pickleball?
oh, pickleball.
Got a new paddle.
Oh, boy.
Did you?
Wife loves it.
Oh, my God.
Gets me out of the house.
Yeah,
Don't pay for that one.
yes, you will.
We will.
This isn't
Okay, so
mine.
can we vote on those in 2 weeks?
Yes, you can.
Because I do have a conflict, but I don't, okay?
Just on the, we were talking about Park Place, the Gateway, how's that going, the signs?
It is going painfully slow. There's a company
With the signage.
contracted to install the gateway sign and the matching road signs, and it's just going ridiculously slow. I've nudged, I prodded, we're making progress, and my concern that I started with this company in the summer was that we need to get this done before it starts snowing and we lose the construction season, and
Guess what?
where we're at
That's
now. So I don't know whether we're gonna get it done. This grant was supposed to be wrapped up on July 1st, and it's just been very difficult getting the contractor moving to get the project going.
I just got one thing real quick that we gotta work on, and it's, and you're gonna actually like me, Mrs. Holmley. I swear to God. You know, with the signing on Route 1, when we do this Route 1 corridor study, we've gotta address signing on Route 1. That sign, now, I was told that there was an existing sign there, the big V sign that's gone in down at the Chateau parking lot there, at the end of the parking lot, that there was a sign, a big billboard there. There was one there?
So there was a billboard there, and it was the old-fashioned billboard, and they're basically just replacing what was there.
Oh, that one on that piece of dirt.
Same size of an electronic, modern.
It's gonna be,
billboard. There's also some coordination and communication that needs to be done. As I understand it, the Board of Appeals granted relief for a large sign for Rojo. And so, as you roll into town, Central Motors has their big sign, Rojo will have theirs. And this was one of the things why we listed that, and as one of the problems in this corridor is to look at the signage. So we can change the rules, but the Board of Appeals is the board that can grant relief from the rules.
Right.
And I think that it's important that the two boards sit down and communicate and have an understanding of, here's what our vision is. We want to make sure that
I think the Board of Selectmen
Appeals have
approved
the
this
same
other
vision,
one.
so that we're not just enacting
And
regulations. that-
it's low, boy, when that lights up,
Honky tonk.
it's gonna be Vegas. And I didn't know, I understood that to be that there was an existing sign there, and I don't remember a sign. I remember one down a little bit farther in the grass, but I didn't remember one right there, right at the end of that parking lot, one of those big Vs, and it's gonna be, and it's low because of the airport. But it's gonna be like looking at a 10,000-inch
Could we
TV.
ask for a meeting between the planning board and the zoning board, maybe to get together and say, what's your vision, what's our vision? Because
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna do that when we get the Route 1 corridor
As
study.
part of the corridor study, there's gonna be some meetings that the consultants are gonna convene, and the Board of Appeals and the Selectmen and other boards will be invited to participate, but, yeah, it absolutely, Debbie, this is what we need to communicate.
On that one.
well, meanwhile, that sign has already been approved for, it's internally lit, right?
Yeah, so the
a big TV.
sign, there was a billboard there for a long time.
Yeah, but it
So
wasn't
this is
lit.
The new and
Yeah.
improved billboard, it needed permission from Concom and the Board of Appeals, and they've got all their permits.
Yeah,
Is this
It's blinding.
somewhat similar to what was asked?
yes.
Central,
And
They-
we
Remember
said no, we
they
said
came
no.
in about 2 years ago and asked about if they could, says, oh, we'll give the town, 5 minutes of free advertising and all that. We said, no way. Well, it's basically that kind of sign. All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we want to sign first, or?
We'll sign after the meeting.
Okay.
We don't need
motion
people
to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Good night.